Previously on We Teach.
Comtext 2 students today will be assisting in running the television studio while the children who come in introduce our Renegade Morning Show, which airs every Friday. Is everybody ready? Yeah! Okay, so on the count of 3, welcome to the Renegade Morning Show. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to the Renegade Morning Show.
Okay, one more real big. On the count of 3. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to the Renegade Morning Show.
Excellent. Good job, guys. Round of applause.
I've got a number of things to kind of prep for the day in my environmental earth science class. Mostly it's going to be micromanaging the final projects, walking around making sure that students are on task. For my science skills or integrated science class, yesterday we experimented with solar ovens, so I want to make a short slideshow with Keynote that shows some of the images from yesterday and will trigger some class discussions about how we could improve upon what we had already done.
We can't deny that there are individual kids that bring this stuff into the building every day, and maybe they're bullied and maybe they're made fun of, and the only way that we can affect change is to be their ally, simply by our position of being educators. We are members of a dominant group that can affect a change. So the next question is going to be, what is it that we're going to do in the schools that we can do, either individually or as a whole school, to act as allies for some of these kids?
At the district's training office, professional development instructors and full-time teachers, Tom Tamburello and Eileen Forbes, are instructing other educators on how to overcome obstacles to student achievement in the classroom. For this final day of the course, Tom is being observed by Training Director Marcia Booth in hopes of earning his trainer certification for the class.
To become a trainer, you have to do 3 things. You have to take the course, which I did 2 years ago. You have to watch the course being taught, which I did a year ago, and then you have to teach the course and be observed. And it's Marcia's great, and she will give us such feedback at the end of today's session that when we do this next time, it'll be 100 times better than it is today.
We think this is an exciting thing to do because we've been doing it for so long. And what's interesting is that you pretty much can always you can predict what's going to be controversial, but sometimes things come up that you're not expecting. This morning we did a new strategy and the participants had a completely different spin on it than we ever expected. And that's what we like, that's what makes it really great. That's what makes it so purposeful for the participants.
So for homework, you had to look at a page, I think it was 310 in the binder. And you had a couple of questions regarding classroom management definitions. Who thinks that they can kind of put together the thoughts about all of those definitions, or all of those, the thinking about classroom management from all those researchers? Okay.
I think one of the things we said when we read through these quotes is that there's a lot of stuff that teachers have to do in terms of classroom management. Kids don't just sit down and sit like this and have that utopian view of a classroom. There's, okay, this kid can't sit next to this kid, move him over here, this, that. There's a lot of stuff we have to do, but I think we kind of talked about the main thing was making sure that the kids were engaged in the lesson. Because if they're not engaged, that's when they start, that's when the classroom management and the behavior problems start. When they're not engaged, that's when they start pulling out their cell phones, or that's when they start, distracting the person next to them. So it's about making the connection to the lesson for the kids to understand it.
Anything else? Brian?
One thing we said about the first two is that it doesn't recognize any of the obstacles of instruction. Like, I told them, I think back of Good Will Hunting is one of my favorite movie, and one of the lines that really hit me is when he said, "You dropped $160,000 on education that you could have got with the $1.50 late fees at the public library." Like, if it really is just instruction and learning, why don't we just give textbooks and not have teachers? Because there are a million other things going around that we need to be a part of. So I feel like all that research is showing that there are all these other outside factors that affect learning, and kids cannot just sit down and have enough self-discipline to have just read and listen and write down and then give back. That you kind of have to be creative, and you got to do all these different things to balance out all those little obstacles that we've been talking about. And
it says right on the top there, and I think it sums it up perfectly. Classroom management, an essential variable impacting student achievement. And what we're going to look at now are what are the components of classroom management. All right? It's like Nicole said, they don't all come in and sit there and fold their hands and say, "Oh, I'm so ready to learn today." So Tom's going to take you through a few pieces now, a few of the elements that are involved about what causes disruptive behavior, what causes inattentiveness.
What happens at the beginning of the period and the end of a period is essential. Students have just spent 3, 4, 5 minutes in the hallways walking around to get to your class. Their blood's flowing, they're alert, they're awake. So unfortunately, if we're using the first few minutes of class, and it still happens to this day, does anybody know where Bill is today? Because Bill's supposed to be here, and his name isn't on Genesis. All right, has anybody seen Bill today? I think he's cutting. You know, that we're using this valuable time at the beginning of the period, okay, when students are really alert, to do some of these other things that may be done at a better time. Even passing out papers. "Oh, you know, Mr. T, can we get our tests back?" Now you've wasted 2 or 3 minutes of class time to give back tests, and they're looking at their grade. Now we teach a 41-minute period. So what that means is we have to create as many beginnings and endings as we can during the course of a period. So if you're going to lecture for 41 minutes, they're going to remember the stuff at the very beginning, the stuff at the very end, and nothing in the middle. It's a principle of learning called sequence. So we all remember things at the beginning and the end, but not the middle. And so we have to try and create as many beginnings and endings as we can in our room. So maybe after 10 minutes of lecture, and we try to model that here, we always give you something to process. Whether it's standing up, writing a journal, summarizing, talking to a colleague. So that's the kind of stuff that goes on in our classes. We're creating these beginnings and endings, and the more of them we have, the more that students will remember. Our students, for every 10 minutes that you're feeding them information, after 10 minutes, they're done. You've got to give them some processing time. We sit here and we fill the cup. After 10 minutes, the cup is full. And guess what? That water's got to go somewhere. And if you haven't done any processing, the water's going to go on the floor and they're going to forget it.
For students interested in video production, Shawnee TV provides an opportunity to chronicle the sights and sounds of the school and share them with the community.
Almost every event that happens at Shawnee High School is covered by our students and produced, cut together in a computer, edited in a way that is appropriate for showing the public, and we try to develop a professional product and use real-world experience so that our students are prepared when they go out. I'm pretty confident that most of my students could work in a professional capacity at a local television station.
By posting projects to their online student wiki page, Brian's communication technology classes can share their creations with an audience well beyond the school and their local community.
Consider them your online portfolio. You could be using those to promote yourself to colleges. You could be using it to promote yourself if you'd like to start shooting and making money doing video production. Say, "Hey, look at the work I've done. I can handle that job." Send people the link in an email. Here it is. Here's my student page. Make it look professional, because you can use it as your resume, essentially.
These third-year communication students will soon have a new item for their portfolio, a long-term project they've been working on for most of the semester.
2.5 months, 3 months now, we've been working on planning, writing scripts, interviewing, going out and capturing good video and audio images, and then they've put that together into a 10-minute long documentary. Mortos, your rough cut that you submitted for a rough cut, it was like a 10-minute long, you guys playing ping pong in the beginning, montage. Yes. You might want to think about slimming that down a little bit.
All right, I just took about
Get to the interviews faster. It's like, why are we watching these guys playing ping pong for 20 minutes before you introduce the topic? You understand?
I just cut like 3 minutes off.
Okay. So how long is it now?
Like 5.
Right, 5 minutes of people playing ping pong. You got to get to the point, you know what I mean?
All right.
So give like a 10-second opening montage, go to a graphic, start your first interview, and then use all that as B-roll.
Okay, I can do that.
This is probably the biggest project that they've had to work on and make an intelligent statement about their culture. So they're doing a documentary on what's going on within their own personality, their personal teenage culture. How's it coming, Fitz?
Good. I'm just cutting up a little intro to have the graphics, but overall this is kind of what I have so far. And it'll be under exactly 5 minutes. I need to cut this a little shorter.
Is this the vegan place? Some good shooting you had there. I like the shallow depth of field stuff. It's great. It's been pretty hectic to get to this point. You really have to plan and manage the students in a way that, you know, even over especially long-term projects where there's a tendency to kind of hit some walls, and then once a student hits a wall, it's kind of, you have to usher them back into getting on track in a direction that's going to be helpful to making their project better. Guys, before you export, you might want to look over the criteria for success on the rubric. This is something that we've been working on for many months. It's probably beneficial to check over the rubric on what is expected of your final export. Lower thirds, graphics, credit roll, relevant B-roll, that sort of thing. So make sure that you're double checking prior to exporting. Don't skip a simple step that could give you, a couple more points.
Some students are also putting the finishing touches on a shortened preview version of their documentary that will be entered in Lenape District Television's annual awards show for television production.
You have to export using iPhone conversion. If you don't know how to do that, go to the blog side of the wiki.
Wait, so I have to go in here and I have to Command E?
No. I want you to watch the tutorial on how to export using QuickTime conversion, because you need to nest this first. It's a 16:9 box. You need to nest it in a new sequence. So watch the tutorial. Go to the blog. New tab, Command T. Start typing ComTech. Click here. Click blog. Scroll down. That's what you need to do. Watch that, put your headphones on, and do exactly what that's telling you. So you have to nest this first. Why don't you watch what Alex is watching? Go to the blog side of the wiki and learn how to nest. Okay, so before you guys are exporting, make sure it's letterboxed. You'll see black bars top and bottom. I've already caught 2 or 3 of you guys trying to export without letterboxing. Please, if you don't know what to do, ask me. I have a video tutorial on the wiki page I can point you to.
At Lenape High School, Bill Seng's science skills class is reviewing the results from their latest experiment.
We constructed solar ovens, and this is something that we gave them quite a bit of class time to do. We provided them with a website where they could pick their own design and then build their own design based on whether or not they could collect the materials on their own. And a lot of them chose to build their own solar oven from their own design, which has got to give them a lot of credit. That was pretty cool. I want to talk about some of the success stories and some of the not so successful stories, but and then I want to reflect a little bit on what made the ovens work and what didn't make the ovens work, what we could have done better to them, and what would you do to improve it for the next time around, all right? So yesterday we finally had a good day where we could go outside and test them. They brought in food items that they remembered, and we tried cooking some of those food items outside. So I took some pictures with my iPhone and uploaded them into a keynote presentation so I could remind them of the events that happened yesterday, and we could discuss some particulars about what was successful and what wasn't successful. All right, so that a familiar scene from yesterday. That was the solar windshield reflector. So I bought that for $3 at the dollar store, and I put some Velcro on the underside of it and then made a big parabola with it, basically. Put it on top of a bucket. Now, technically I bought the bucket too, so that was another $2. And I already had a grate that fit inside the bucket. And then I also bought a little pan because I didn't want to ruin my personal, our household pan. So the dollar store it was great. So for really less than $10, I made a solar oven that was very effective and worked really, really well, all right? So we cracked an egg on it, and the egg cooked up in a matter of, how long did it take for the egg to cook? Yeah, about 5 minutes. It was showing signs of the whites being completely cooked. The reality of it is when I picked this up with my hand on the handle, I actually borderline burnt my hand. It was really hot. The hottest temperature I got off of the surface of the pan was about 235, if I remember correctly. Right. No, I don't think I quite got there. All right. Jose's got there. Jose's was, I think the hottest we got, yours was like 264 or something like that. Some were triangular shaped. Others were, you know, like Jose's was a hexagon shape. Then mine was sort of rounded, and then others were just sort of like collectors. So the purpose of these ovens were primarily to try and trap heat, collect heat from the sun's rays, all right, through the process, you know, radiation is beaming this stuff down, all right? And then, why did we use foil? What were we doing at the foil? Trying to reflect that light back and then try to reflect it towards whatever it was we were trying to cook. Now, what was a major mistake that a lot of people made with their ovens? What didn't they put in the middle of their oven? Something to actually collect the rays when you reflected them, all right? So if you have a bunch of foil, all right, remember when we used the infrared gun and we shot it on the foil? What was the generalized temperature of the foil? It was like 20 degrees, right, exactly, because it was actually just reflecting the heat right back out, all right? So if you didn't put anything in the middle of your solar oven that was either dark or even some kind of food item, you weren't collecting that heat and it wasn't absorbing any of that energy. It was just reflecting back out again, all right? So this one was quite effective, you know, Jose's, all right? And, you know, he definitely got on several categories, and, you know, he really impressed us when he made this, like, we mentioned it, came back, it was pretty much built, all right? 264 degrees, he completely conceptualized it in his head, put it together, built it, very effective, cooked his food, all right? A off the charts, all right? So nice job. What was it about his oven that made it effective? And
the design, it was like funnel, like.
Right, so he had kind of like a narrow bottom and then it sort of like funneled out. So it's sort of like embracing somebody for a hug. So if you're trying to hug the sun and you're trying to grab all that sun's rays and energy, all right, you want something with a really, really big opening at the end. If we had a category for lowest temperature, that would be our friend Kevin over here, all right? So not so effective, but you win the award today for not such effective oven, all right? So, but I got to give him a lot of credit because Kevin really set out to design his own. He didn't want to take one of the pre-made designs that were out there, and he tried to rework it as he was going through and continually revised it, tried to add elements, tried to, you know, kind of fix things, and his mind was always going and trying to tweak it. So he really practiced the methods of the scientific method, you know, where sort of, I have a hypothesis. I think if I try this, this will work, all right? It wound up that you weren't so successful, but that was okay. So what was it, in general, we can kind of use his as an example. Was it about Kevin's design that wasn't so effective? Why didn't it cook as rapidly as Jose's did, or as the store-bought one? Why didn't it cook that quickly? Kevin's design is sort of a U shape, and if the sun was up here like this, the rays are actually bouncing back to a point right about here. What is this particular point called? It's a focal point, exactly, right? Kevin's design had the workings of you know, possibly working well. He just needed to rig up something to make sure that whatever item he was trying to heat up actually sat in the middle at that particular focal point. Then you may have actually been on your way to success. So you were really close. You just didn't quite get all the elements together to kind of tie it together, all right? So maybe something to work on over the summer, right? All right, cool.
The school day is over at Shawnee, but there is still plenty to do for communication technology teacher Brian Pistone. He begins by helping one student review her documentary.
How long is that cut that you just showed me right there?
This one,
Is it under 5?
it's 18 to 27, so it's 10. But do I need all the B-roll?
What B-roll were you planning on using? The intro is great.
That I went out and had a shot last minute.
What do you have?
I have random stuff in the library, in the hallways.
Like in focus, out of focus stuff? Is that what it?
Well, I have this like.
I think the interviews stand on their own. I don't know if you need so much B-roll. Especially because the angle differences and having all those different close-ups and pulling your audience with the way that it's cut and the pacing that it's cut. I think you're right. I don't know if it really needs that much B-roll, especially if you don't have the B-roll that's relevant enough to the topic.
After giving his feedback, Brian previews Shawnee's Student of the Month interviews, a monthly program that helps viewers get to know some of the school's outstanding students.
This is Dan. And then it goes into Samantha's interview, right?
Did the other ones change?
You might have mistakenly
I probably
renamed
fixed it
this.
and then I dropped it.
Did you cut out any of the mistakes? Like, was there times where
Yeah,
there were
I
mistakes?
cut out Mikey and I's mistakes, and then he asked to redo one.
Okay.
And so those parts are all edited.
Great. High five, last one. Good job.
With this month's episode ready to air, Brian now needs to review highlights from previous episodes that will be assembled together into an entry for the upcoming Lenape District Television Awards.
Is there a closing on this one?
There's
Like, is that the last thing that she
no,
answers?
but she like goes.
It's a
on-
really
it's
long
like
interview?
about- yeah, it's a really long.
Why did you
interview.
choose it? Because it was
It was-
the best
it was a
intro?
good interview.
That was a good interview.
All of them are because they're good interviews.
And it's been cut down to under the, each are supposed to be under 2 minutes? Okay. How about the most current one that we just did? There was a couple in there. Did you look through that one? I think Meg's, is it on this same drive? No, it's on the other drive? I think that we should look and get the, because this one, with the beginning, not perfect. The audience that's going to be viewing this specifically is going to be paying attention to mistakes. So, we want to show a flawless one. Even if it's not a great interview, as long as it's flawless all the way throughout.
I feel like if it's a bad interview, then it's just like, it doesn't look good at all.
I agree. So it's going to take a little bit of digging, and we're going to have to find something.
Watched every show.
We'll watch what Meg cut today, and then we'll, maybe pick one of these. Okay?
After school at Lenape, with project due dates looming, science teacher Bill Seng is helping several students to complete their Google Earth tours.
And then you're going to copy that whole code. It's already selected, so you can go to the top and go under Edit and copy. Cool. All right, so we're going to take that code now and put it into a place mark in Google Earth. So if you open up, yep. So where did you do
Jeffreys Bay.
You want to do it at Jeffreys Bay? Okay. Why don't you do it at Jaws in Hawaii?
Where's Jaws?
You just type in Jaws, Maui. Try that. So, I'm not exactly sure where it is on the island of Maui. I think on the north side, because I think it takes a north swell. So you could just kind of act like it's right there.
Right here?
Yeah, right, and zoom in. And then just drop a place mark. So like move over to the land, yeah, and act like maybe you're in a pool there or something. That's cool.
Right there?
Right, so if you remember, you have to click on the little add a place mark icon.
This one?
Right, the push pin. And so if you slide that window out of the way a little bit over to the side, and then you can drag the place mark to say like right there or something like that. That's perfect, good. And then change the name of the place mark to intro video. Okay, good. Now if you go into the description, and if you do press Command and V at the same time, that'll paste that code in there for you.
All right.
And then click OK. So now it should have added that right there. That's your. It's actually right below Will's final tour. So if you click on that link, the window should open up and your video should be embedded in there.
Nice.
And then so what you'll have to do when you start your tour, you'll start talking, and then you'll tell the viewers to pause the tour and then play the intro video, which is only 30 seconds, and then tell them once that's done, they have to return to the tour. So you have to give them some instructions, but that's generally how it works. All right?
All right.
Cool. Good, Kate?
Can you show me how to put the picture in the thing again? I
Yes,
forget.
absolutely. So all you have to do now then is just copy the image link,
Okay.
the URL. Right, so select the whole thing and then right-click it, copy. Okay, cool. Now go back to Google Earth. Now we're going to paste that URL right there.
Okay.
And so that's your image.
Okay.
So let's test this and make sure it works.
All right.
And see now how that you have a blue link that's lit up in there. So when you're doing your tour, if you just want to zoom to a location, you'll click off over here. Like, see how like I clicked off to the side and it's going to the location. But if you want, when you want the box to pop up, you click on the box and it'll show the picture.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You got it.
What locations could you go to?
I mean, a really good spot that is local because having a local location, Atlantic City, absolutely right. So there's a wind farm there in Atlantic City. I think they have 5 windmills, and it's because it's so close to the ocean. There's a lot of wind. So the ocean water is really cold, and that means the air is sinking over the ocean. But over land, it's really hot, so it rises and it rushes all this cold air, and then it actually cools things off. So they're rolling around really fast right now, generating a lot of electricity. So I would try that, Atlantic City. You can probably find a specific wind farm in California. So I would just type in a search for wind farms in California, and then no, maybe just in a regular Google search to get some general information, and that might give you an idea as to where to go. Okay. All right. So a couple of ideas. You got it. You're welcome.
At the district training office, the teachers are preparing to turn in their final projects. Each one has collected data on specific obstacles that are hindering student achievement and what strategies they can use to overcome them.
The first thing we need you to do is to, without talking to anyone about your project, it's the criteria for success, is to go through and read carefully each step. And you check, as the author, whether or not you have it. Okay? Please do not just go down and put a check in every box, because when we get the project back and we sit together to go over it, it's going to be really obvious if there's something missing. Then, after you go through and you check off that you have everything, you're going to work with a colleague and give them your paper, and they're going to give you theirs, and you're going to do the same thing for them. You're going to look for the components. Now, if you realize that you don't have every piece, you're not turning that into us today, all right? Because the expectation is that everyone turns in a perfect paper ready to roll. This is final draft. So right now, if you would, find a partner, and we're going to check in with you between 25 of and 20 of to see how we're making out.
So I'm thinking we're going to have them push all the desks back, all right? And we're going to form a big circle. Yes. We're going to put the trash can in the middle and the toolbox in the middle.
But they're going to do that paper first.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting down.
Right. They rip it, and then they have to tear it in half. They have 2 pieces of paper in their hand, and they're gonna. Every single person's gonna read their. You want them to read the good thing first, and then the junk. Yeah, or the junk first.
Do you
and
want
then
to
the
go
good
through
thing.
all the goods and then all the junk, or do you want to do one person at a time? There's a few different ways to do it.
Okay. Then we'll do all
So
the junk first.
Get rid of the junk
and then
first,
and on a
tools
positive
second.
note. And
Okay. I didn't sleep last night because I was very I never sleep the night before I teach these courses. Being in front of your colleagues for 8 hours is much different than being in front of your students for 41 minutes a period. There's a lot of pressure to perform well all the time, whether you're with your students or colleagues, but your colleagues expect even more from you. It's a day out for them. It's hard for them to leave sub-plans and be out of their classrooms for a day, so you really feel the need to perform and give them a worthwhile product. And I think we've done that today. I think we've done that every day. But to plan an 8-hour lesson is exhausting. It takes a full day to at least plan an 8-hour lesson, so it's very tiring. And when you get observed, you do have to teach half of it. So that's why there's been a lot of me up here today and not necessarily the other 2 trainers, because I have to teach 50% of the course, which is another reason I'm ready for bed.
We have a pretty special program with the district television station. LDTV Sports has a mobile production truck that visits each of the 4 schools in the district that was donated, and it gives us a pretty unique production environment to work out of. Students have a pretty good chance to have a lot of hands-on experiential learning with really professional equipment and a lot of professional support.
Before the start of each game, all equipment must be tested to make sure it is connected and operating properly. Sometimes that's not always the case.
Hey, can anybody hear me in the truck? Hello, check 1, 2. There's a serious buzz in these headsets. Check 1, 2, testing 1, 2, 3. Hey, can any of you guys hear me in the truck? 1, 2. Can any of you guys hear me in the truck? This is Mr. Pistone. This is the working mic. I have the other mic live, but I'm counting and I just wanted to make sure somebody was there.
I'm here.
Okay, so I'm gonna count.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I can't hear you.
I'm gonna go check it myself. So 1, 2, 6, 4, 5. So I guess 3 is the other wireless. So Becky did have it patched to 6. Looks like everything is soldered and pinned out correctly. And then it goes and dives in the truck. Can't see from here. Excuse me, Bradford. I'm just gonna repatch something. The amount of production that happens with that truck, things are always being set up and broken down and repatched, and you know, from time to time things don't work, or it could be a bad cable, or it could be mispatched. So that kind of engineering and cabling process is something that we model and show our students how to do. Everything working okay over here? Mm-hmm. No rigs are loose or anything? Going around tightening tripods. Wayne, is everything okay? Your camera's looking all right?
Yeah,
Exposure-wise?
I just can't hold it straight for some reason. I have no idea.
What do you mean? Is it because of the mount, or is it because of...
I'm not, maybe it's
you're not used to
because
the mono?
I'm not used to the mount.
The monoprot?
Yeah. That's probably the reason.
Well, you can shoot without it if you don't want, or do you want that support?
I'll try without.
Try without it. It should have a quick release plate, right?
I can't see it.
No, it doesn't. So you'll have to unscrew that. Just keep a hand on the camera. There's a screw.
Yeah, no. It's hard to...
Is that better? No, this doesn't have a quick release plate. Yes? Better?
Much better.
Okay. Well, if you want it, I'll keep it right back on top of the case back here.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Along with the many Shawnee students working today's production, 2 students from Seneca arrive to participate as well.
Good to have you. Mr. Pistone, what's your name?
Steph.
Steph and?
Mara.
Mara?
Mara, yeah.
Steph and Mara. Okay, why don't we get you to come into the truck? Have you seen the truck at all yet?
No.
Okay, we'll run you through. Come on out. You probably bring your bags. We're gonna, you can stash them in the truck.
Okay.
The truck travels between the 4 schools in the district, and it gives students an experience at their home school, or they can travel to other schools in order to get a little bit more hands-on time. Well, why don't you come on up real quick so we can give you a visual of some of the things we're going to be talking about. Students usually come to the events with some form of training, and if they've had none, we can even get them up to speed with how the camera operates. But it's a unique experience, and every sport or every event has its own unique structure and system. And we talk a lot about the different camera angles and what camera is responsible for which type of angle. So the 2 cameras up top are our game cameras, camera 1 and camera 2. One of them is a wide shot for coverage, and the other one is a closer, kind of like a long shot that gets more of the action and has to move a lot more. And what we're going to have you do is shadow camera 1 and 2 positions, so you just hang out with those guys up there. They'll be on headset listening to the director and figuring out what's going on. And maybe halftime we can switch and you guys swap out. Okay. Once they have the initial instruction, the game begins, and it's kind of trial by fire. Here we go. Let's get started.
This game is underway. Controlled by Katie Cahill.
Well, it's a good sign for Shawnee, winning the first draw of the game and coming on the attack.
I love the great pass. I love the cut by coach. I love the quick release by coach.
You can bring whatever's idea.
She's the direct. Take 4. I know you're trying to help.
Here's Nguyen trying to split the defenders, but it's knocked away from her, and it trickles in. Here's a look at the replay. And you see knocked away defensively.
And it just rolls in.
It just rolls right past her.
And auto to 1.
So those changes in direction.
Take 3.
Zalgra was in good position, and the ball got just
That's a good shot.
1. Take 3.
2 Shawnee bodies down.
I like the fast cutting.
1.
Good camera choice too.
You've been presented with a lot of information about these obstacles, about beliefs, about collecting data. So here's what we're going to do. There are some things that we've told you and that are probably like, wow, this is really cool. I'm so glad I'm here. So we're going to do 2 or 3 new instructional tools or beliefs or big ideas that you're definitely going to take away from this course. And then we want 2 or 3 things that you just want to get rid of. Like, wow, as a result of our time together, there's 2 or 3 things that I really, want to let go of, because these things do not promote student achievement or academic identity or strong habits of mind.
And when you're finished, we're going to ask you to tear the paper in half along the line. And then just sit tight, because there's one more step with this when you're done. Okay?
We've created a good summarizer of the course. We're going to summarize everything we've done. They're going to have some big takeaways from the course, some things they're going to start doing because of our time together, some things they're going to stop doing because of our time together. It's going to be a good summary. It's going to be very interactive. It should be really cool.
Don't think that I'm forced in keeping desks in rows. That my students take part instead of trying to assume the responsibility on my own.
Thank
Crunch
you.
it up.
You want to get rid of it.
Get rid of it. Well, she's so dainty.
I will no longer use sarcasm with my students.
Take that back.
I will no longer do group work, but move to cooperative learning.
All right, the things that you want to take with you as tools go in the toolbox. All right, and it is, it's symbolic. But what we'll do is take some of your ideas, hopefully, and be able to frame them and type them up and then send them back out to you. So you have a list of strategies. So we'll go the other way.
Improving relationships between students and between myself and students, and creating effective learning communities.
Thanks.
Classroom management strategies that have made my lessons more efficient and more organized, have freed up more time to build relationships with my students.
Cooperative learning. I've learned how important it is for students to learn to work together. We did it so much in this class, and I believe it helped us become better teachers just through communication.
I will experiment with space to see how that affects classroom management in the special ed classroom. I will develop cooperative learning tools so that students learn from each other in addition to myself.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Well
much.
done. Have a great afternoon.
I'm happy with the last day. I think this was a new summarizer for us. When I listened to the participants, we talked to them a lot about reflection. That's a big reflective summarizer that they did, and that tells us exactly what they got and what they didn't get. I'm happy.
I think today went really well. It would have been nice to have a little more time, as always, to have discussions continue about certain topics that we were talking about. Overall, I think the participants really did get a lot out of the course, as was evident in the last summarizer. Hopefully they're going to take back some tools with them to really impact their students. And that's the beauty of this, is that they really, we got 20-some participants in here. They go back and impact their 100 students, and all of a sudden you've affected like 2,000 students in the school. You've improved instruction, and just made the school a better place. So I really think there's a lot of value in what we do here, and I think today was evident that they're gonna take some important things away from the course. I think I think I'm happy with it. What we're going to do now actually is I'm going to meet with Marcia. The four of us are going to meet together, Eileen, Elisa, Marcia, and I, and we're going to really just talk about how the day went and what improvements can be made, what went well, what didn't go well, so that when we teach this course again next month, it'll be even better than it was today.
Tom.
Yes, yes, Marcia.
It is my absolute pleasure to tell you that you are now certified in investigating obstacles to achievement.
Thank you so much.
Bravo.
That's a lot of work.
Bravo.
Thank you for your help, and thank you for your help.
Oh, just
thank you so much.
superior.
I couldn't have done it without the three of you.
Absolutely superior work. And part of the excitement for me watching you teach this course was that most novices just teach the stuff that's written down. You didn't. You taught them. You taught the people in the room. I think a lot of it is the incredible prep that you do, so you don't have to be worried about the content when you're teaching it. The content, you got that cold. So you're just teaching the people in the room.
I love doing this course. It's a gift to give the teachers such tremendous staff development. The district is so committed to helping the teachers hone their profession. And I really think that this course is so instrumental in helping teachers expand their repertoire. When you're here and you're listening to what's going on and you walk around and you listen to the discussions, you can hear the depth of concern that people have about their kids. And that's what I love about this course. I believe in it. I think it's awesome.
And that will do it for this one. Shawnee got off to a fast start. They led 13-1 at the half. They end up with a 19-1 victory. And that will do it for today's broadcast. For Lauren Mathis and for Sam Lyra, I'm Bradford Connors. Thanks for watching.
How'd it go, ladies? Good? Looked like you did good in the truck. Everything all right? Good job.
Once the final horn sounds and the broadcast is completed, Brian and the LDTV crew begin the breakdown process.
Hang on, we gotta disconnect them from here. So they come to the cameras and then there's this patch bay, so you know, BNC just unscrew and pull to the left. And then we'll pull down each of these to the ground level so it's a little easier to reel. So you want to start with that one, just let some line out and go down. Let's make sure that all that stuff is clear from camera before you start reeling them, okay? So you gotta check and make sure that those, because they go up top also. Today went very well. We got the opportunity to work with a couple new students from a different school. We provide a really great opportunity for the students. We also provide a service to the local community to be able to watch the productions that we shoot. Experiences like Lenape District Television and the mobile production truck and all of the live production that we shoot in this room and you know, the foundation that the students get. It's an amazing thing to hear a student come back from college or come back from their last production shoot and let you know that this is where it all started and that they're leaps and bounds ahead of their peers and how much experience we've provided for them. It's a very, very rewarding career.
Ask educators what they do for a living, and you're likely to get a response that sounds rather simplistic. We teach. But watching what educators do every day yields an occupation that is far more complex. Teaching is about commitment, a commitment to creating an environment that fosters an opportunity to learn. It's about forging connections that engage minds and nurture students' belief in their own ability. Teaching is about renewal. There are always new students, new ideas, and new teachers continually evolving their craft to prepare children for the undeniable challenges that await them. It's about passion, a passion to leave a lasting impact that inspires students and challenges them to achieve more than they ever thought they could. For these 8 educators and countless others like them, being a teacher is more than what they do. It's who they are.